I don't know about you, but one of the biggest issues I deal with when doing woodworking projects in my garage is just the amount of dust that's kicked up. So I wanted to make sure that I address that in my movable workbench build. So here's what I came up with. Like many of you out there, my current dust control, dust management setup is something like that right there. It's just a shop vac down below with a dust separator up top, and that gets wheeled around to whatever I'm working on at the time, my miter saw, table saw, router, whatever. And it works to an extent. But what I don't want with this movable workbench is anything like that. I don't want to have to move the hose around to whatever I'm working on at the time. It just takes time to have to, move it, get set up, disconnect it, move it over to the next tool, whatever I'm doing. So I wanted something integrated to the workbench that can eliminate some of that rearranging, tear down, setup, whatever. So let me show you what I got going on here. By the way, the neighborhood dogs today have lost their minds. I don't know if you can hear them in the background there, but I swear there's like a dozen of them out there, different houses. It's insane. Here you can see what I started with. The idea is that I want to keep everything self-contained in this workbench. So the space that I had was really limited. So I picked up the small rigid shop vac, which is actually not bad for what it is. I mean, it's only a 4-gallon, but I don't need it for dust collection. I really just needed it for the vacuum part, which is a 5 horsepower vacuum, which I've run some tests with it. Seems to work really well. Now, I've also incorporated a separate dust collection. This is the one from Home Depot. Works really well. Obviously, I know there are ones out there that work better, but for the space that I have, this works. I may try to incorporate a different one later, since I do have some space up above. And there you can see some of the hoses that I have. So the hose coming out here actually goes up to a setup I have on the other side, which I will show that in a minute. The idea is that, again, the bench top's going to come over. There will be probably an outfeed table that'll fold up back here, but that'll keep most of this enclosed. And then this is the hose going to the table saw, going back out to what I have going on over there. But so it's all self-contained. I was going to run the shop vac off of a current sensing switch that would turn on when you turn the power tools on. However, I didn't want that because I have something going on the other side there. So I want to have a separate control, which I'm sure I probably would if I got a current sensing switch. But let me show you what I got going on over there, and it works. Let's just wheel this around. I don't want to show you the side just yet. So here is the front. Now, I've got a power strip here that I'm going to label with everything. The top switch is actually for the shop vac. And then I'm going to have like the table saw, miter station, router station, whatever else I have. And then I'm going to have a separate power strip probably right here for like sanders and other hand tools and stuff. That's going to be a different video, a separate section. I have to figure out my layout for this area. But part of what I wanted to incorporate is this right here. This is a port going to the shop vac so that I can plug in that hose right there and be able to clean up around the bench, on the bench, whatever. I wanted to have a separate hose that I could use for general cleanup. And here you can see kind of what I have, what's alluding to what's going on the side. I got a valve here, a ball valve, PVC ball valve, that I can open or close based on whatever tool that I'm. So if I want to use this airline, I will open this valve up here. It's a little tight because they're still new, but it's just a PVC ball valve. That is really tight. There we go. Now it's open, and that would get used. That would get opened up and turned on when I want to use the hose to clean up the workbench. And then when not in use, I close that to direct the vacuum somewhere else. And then here, like I had explained in a previous video, I left the floor recessed. There you can see the recess in the floor so that I could do stuff like this. There are some PVC air lines. One is coming here. Two others are kind of blocked right now. Let me see if I can get in there where you can see them. There you go. You can see them back in there. Those are two other lines I'll be able to connect up, and I plan on one of them coming out here and going to the miter station, and then one coming out and going probably to the router table. But the main feature of this setup, where these three PVC lines are going, is right here. So this is a little air manifold that I kind of came up with. I was going to use this area of the workbench for storing tools, but it just worked out perfect for an air manifold. So this line here comes out from the shop vac, comes down to this Y. This valve, this ball valve, goes back in for the table saw. That's closed right now. When I want to use the table saw, I open this valve and it directs the vacuum out to the table saw. Or if I want to use, let's say, the miter station, then this valve will get opened. Let's say, for example, for the miter station, for the router table, and this is the air line going over to the front for that separate hose. So it's a real simple setup. I'm real happy with the way it turned out. I had to do some clearancing of the bench to get these lines in, and you can see I've got some tape there. I had a few little glue up issues, but since I had to build this in place and stuff didn't want to move around too well, I had a couple of glue up issues, but it all seems to work really well. I secured the PVC in places with just some metal strapping, and I'll probably add some down below there to the lines down there just to secure them in place. Not that I'm really worried about them moving around too much, but there's just a quick look at my dust management setup for my movable workbench. Hopefully, like I said, I've run some tests with the table saw, and I would say it probably picks up 90-95% of the dust generated by the table saw. I mean, some of it obviously kicks back up, as it's cutting, but most of it, like I said, I would say 90-95% of it ends up in the vacuum system. And like I said, it works. Keeps everything self-contained. It's tucked in real close to the side. Oops. There you can see it protrudes just a little bit, but it keeps it all pretty much self-contained to my workbench. And now I don't have to, once I get everything finished, I won't have to move the hose from the table saw to the miter station to the router station. It'll all be just whatever tool I'm using, open that valve, close the others, and I'm up and running and limiting the amount of dust generated. Now I can do a lot more work in the garage with the door closed. When it's cold outside or when it's really windy, I don't have to worry about stuff blown in the garage. I don't have to worry about, stuff getting blown over. Or in the summertime here in Vegas when it's stupid hot, I can do most of my work in here in the shade because it's not all that bad. All right, well, there you go. There's a quick look at the dust collection, dust management setup that I installed on my movable workbench. Like I said, it seems to work really well. I really wanted as much of it plumbed in with like PVC piping instead of flexible hoses as possible. Just using the flex hose where I have to. Again, it seems to work really well. Only time will tell, really, but so far I'm happy with it. So thanks for watching, and guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified when new video gets uploaded. Happy New Year. Hopefully everyone's 2021 is better than their 2020. Time will tell, I guess. But yeah, until the next one. See y'all later.